Okay, let's just jump right in. Imagine an employee comes to you and says, I never have fun at work. What's your first instinct? Probably something about burnout, right? Or maybe they need more social events, a better work-life balance. It's a complaint that we almost automatically file under leisure problem. And honestly, that's the default lens for most organizations. They hear no fun, and the immediate thought is, okay, this is an employee happiness issue, something that a pizza party or, I don't know, a team building retreat is supposed to fix. It's always seen as a soft problem. But what if that's not it at all? What if it's a hard signal for something much, much more important? And this is where the whole story takes a really sharp turn. This number, 0.2443, it comes from a massive global study. We're talking 43 countries. It's a correlation coefficient, which is just a fancy way of saying it shows a statistical link between two things. And in this case, it connects that complaint about not having fun to a way of thinking that you would absolutely never expect. So what is this way of thinking? Well, it's from a framework called spiral dynamics, and this specific mindset is called the yellow V meme. Now, these are your big picture, systemic thinkers. These are the people who are obsessed with how all the pieces fit together, with efficiency, with whether the entire process just flows. They're not usually the ones you'd think are worried about happy hour, which brings up a really fascinating puzzle. Why are the most systems-focused people the ones complaining about a lack of fun? Here's the paradigm shift. For this specific group, the word fun is basically a code word. It has nothing to do with entertainment. It's all about their engagement with the system itself. For them, fun is the feeling you get when all the gears are meshing perfectly. And no fun? Well, that's the grinding, horrible sound of a broken machine. Now look at what this complaint is sitting right next to. When you compare it to other feedback from this same group, I never have fun has almost the exact same statistical weight as they micromanage me. Just let that sink in for a second. We treat micromanagement as a serious, critical leadership failure. This data is screaming that we should be treating no fun with the exact same level of urgency. This isn't a soft problem anymore. It's a big, flashing red light on the dashboard of your entire organization. So you see where this is going, right? This is where things get really, really messy for any leader. What on earth are you supposed to do when the same three words, I'm not happy, means 6 completely different things to 6 different people on your team? You end up with what's basically a corporate Tower of Babel. The person with a tribal Kerpel mindset, they hear no fun and think, our team bond is broken. We're not a family anymore. The power-driven red sinker hears, my freedom to act is being restricted. Your classic orange achiever, they hear, this is just a drag on our productivity. And as we've just seen, the yellow systems thinker hears, the entire process is broken. It's the same signal, but it's landing in totally different universes. And of course, this misinterpretation leads straight to the wrong solutions. Leadership diagnoses low morale and prescribes perks and parties. But the real issue is functional disengagement, and the only cure is to actually fix the broken workflow. You're basically trying to fix a faulty engine by giving the car a new paint job. It just doesn't work. And the consequences of getting this wrong are pretty severe. I mean, when work feels clunky and frustrating, innovation just dies. Your most competent, most autonomous people, the ones who can actually see that the system is broken, they're the first ones out the door. And they're not leaving for a bigger salary. They're looking for a place where things just work. And this isn't something that happens overnight. It's a predictable, step-by-step domino effect. First, the functional flow breaks down. Then, because people can't engage with their work in a meaningful way, the company builds up this huge engagement debt. Over time, that causes the organization to drift away from what it's even supposed to be doing. That's functional drift. And the final domino to fall, the entire culture collapses under the weight of all that dysfunction. So how do you possibly navigate all this complexity? Well, the solution is to actually treat it like the complex system it is. One way is using something called a dynamic programming model. Okay, forget the jargon for a second. At its heart, it's just a way of mapping out all these different interpretations and predicting where each one leads. It's about turning the soft art of management into something that's much, much closer to a science. Here's kind of how it works. First, instead of just guessing, you actually decode the signals correctly. You learn why different people are saying the same thing. Second, you project the outcomes. What's going to happen if we treat this as a morale problem versus a systems problem? And finally, you can actually act with confidence. You're no longer just throwing solutions at a wall, hoping something sticks. You're making real decisions based on a clear map of what's actually going on. This quote just nails it. The real risk isn't that people are unhappy. The real risk is in the misinterpretation. The breakdown isn't happening in your team's morale, it's happening in your ability to decode what they are really trying to tell you. So all of this leaves us with one last big question to think about for our own companies. What happens when we stop measuring work-life balance in the number of hours people are working and start measuring it in the quality of the functional flow? What breaks? And more importantly, what might we finally be able to fix?